Yeah, welcome again, everyone, and thank you for tuning in, irrespective of what day it is for many of us. So, we'll start the second session today with the opening aspiration. I'll put it on, and it will be nice if one of us can maybe read the opening aspiration, and all of us can inwardly repeat as well. So, would anyone like to speak it out loud for all of us?
Yeah.
Okay.
With boundless compassion and wisdom, I will work for the welfare of all. May we be free from hunger and discord and have joy and a world at peace.
Yeah, thank you. So today I thought we'll start with maybe a little talk, a few minutes from Jetsunma herself. So just a clip that I will be sharing with all. So we'll first listen to that, and then we will, after that, go on to the introduction that we were reading. Just as a reminder, I'll just share it. So this one that I'm sharing with all of you is an excerpt from one of the meetings that keep on being held, and she shows up from time to time in between and shares her guidance and wisdom on whatever is the question asked. So there is a question that has been asked, and then she's elaborating about something which generally speaking is good for us to hear. Yeah, Subhash has some audio issues. Yeah, just a moment. I'm just pausing it, and I'm just calling Subhashi, I think. Just a second. Thank you for your patience. So we'll just listen to this teaching by Jetsunma, and then we will jump on to um, the introduction that we were reading. Uh, yeah. So I hope we can all focus and concentrate more on the teaching that is being imparted.
The problem with our mind is that it grasps, right? It catches on to things, and it's sometimes I say it's like Velcro. It's full of little hooks which catch on to things. And so it's trying to make the mind more Teflon-like, very smooth, nothing sticks. But if one has to make decisions, if one has, in the moment, one should also be aware what's happening. And if we need to plan, if we need to decide, the point is not that we don't plan and decide. I mean, all these lamas are super active and very organized, really. But we don't grasp at it. It's this open, spacious awareness of the moment, and how to deal with it skillfully just comes naturally if our mind is not grasping. I mean, the Buddha always said that the cause of dukkha is the grasping. And that's the problem. If we look at our mind, we see how much our mind does catch onto things, either with pleasure or with aversion, constantly. And so to be conscious of that and let it go, let it go, let it go. But that makes the mind more clear, more focus. It doesn't end up us being kind of zombie-like. Actually, the opposite happens. If we are aware moment to moment of not grasping, then we become the mind, all the mud, okay, all the mud sinks to the bottom. And the water becomes transparent and clear. And then we can make spontaneously almost, we make the right decision. People might think, wow, that was really a good idea, but it just came up because it's so obvious now. It's because it's so clear. So that's the point. It's not that we end up being completely ineffectual. For the first time, we become genuinely effectual because we are dealing with the wisdom mind and not just our usual, you know, rather stupid plodding along, caught up in our likes and dislikes type mind. I mean, all the great lamas, as you know perfectly well, are you know, radiant with that, not just with great love, but with great understanding of wisdom that radiates from them.
Thank you.
Yeah, Alora.
So the question that was being asked here was that if we are in meditation and there are chances that we become like cow-like, you know, we just are too silent, too peaceful, and we don't know how to plan, and there is no, so kind of a passive inaction, you know, kind of a state which can happen because lethargy sinks in whenever we are meditating. So she was elaborating on that true meditation would be when the mind becomes very alert, attentive, and throughout the day also, if one can maintain that state, that whenever something is sticky, one can be alert and then one can let it go. You know, again something comes up which is too sticky, attachy, and then, you know, one uh, looks at it, becomes conscious of it, and lets it go, lets it go, lets it go. So it's like making the mind more alert and alive. And in that alertness, intuitively a knowing comes which tells you the right way to go. So it's not that you won't be able to take decisions or there would be inaction and passivity and cow like, you know, you're sitting in the middle of road and undisturbed, you know, uh, not really bothered by the chaos around. So it's not a passivity, it's a very alert state of mind and clear state of mind. And at another point she also shares that whenever we rise out of sitting meditation and we are feeling lethargic rather than being alert, it means that we were actually not in a good meditative state. It was like mind sank into dullness and inertia, which can happen, which happens many a times. But that would not be a true meditative poise. The true meditative poise will make me more alert and attentive and clear rather than make me dull and sleepy and, you know, yeah. So anything here, anyone, before we get to the introduction? Okay, so I'm moving forward in that case, if there is not anything. And if there is anything, please, as always, feel free to unmute and share at any point of time. So we had finished until introduction page 2. We'll take up the reading from this last few lines here, the last paragraph. So anyone who would like to read it out aloud for us?
I can read.
Yes,
This
please.
kind of attitude and these Lojong teachings were taken to Tibet in the 11th century by a great Bengali scholar called Atisha Deepankar Srijnan. Atisha studied this kind of thinking in Sumatra for about 12 or more years with the master Sir Lingpa. Then he came back to India and became the chancellor of the large monastic college of Vikramshila. Later, he was invited to Tibet, and although he felt he was too old, he had a vision of the Buddha Tara, who advised him that if he went, he would benefit many sentient beings, even though it would shorten his life. Cherishing the well-beings of others above himself, Atisha agreed to go to Tibet and had an enormous impact. Should I continue? You'll have, yeah. So Buddhism at that time was going through a lot of confusion about how to put the teachings into practice. Atisha saw that advanced tantric teachings were probably not so appropriate for the kinds of minds Tibetans had in those days. What they needed was to get back to the basic principles again and work on their attitudes and motivation. He clarified the path of practice, giving emphasis to the importance of refuge in the three jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and on Bodhisattva, the aspiration to attain enlightenment for the sake of all beings. Along with providing that clarification, Atisha gave teachings on how to take the vicissitudes of life onto the path, how to approach everything through the lens of cherishing others, of bodhicitta. His followers likewise carried on this tradition, which we now refer to as Lojong tradition or mind training tradition.
Thank you. Anybody wants to share anything here? So this, I feel there are many resonances. Again, that's why we take up, along with Mother's and Sri Aurobindo teachings, we are able to amalgamate these teachings as well, because there is a lot of similarity, and since truth is one, there would be resonances and similarities everywhere. So here we see that how in Mother and Sri Aurobindo's we talk about taking refuge in the Mother or taking refuge in both of them, and it's the same here. So here, take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, because we will have to take refuge. Life presents itself in such ways that the biggest enemy is our own mind, and we will have to take refuge. And practical implication of this would be that whenever we are assailed by thoughts and feelings of all kinds and storylines and happenings of life, the mind becomes really too agitated and lost, like what do I do, what do I do? So to ingather the consciousness and to maintain a sanity, a kind of a peace, where we can hear the intuitive inner guidance, it's very important to ingather then the threads of consciousness. So either in the form of Buddha, the Dharma, the readings, good readings like this book, or other writings by masters, mystics, the Dharma path of spirituality, and Sangha would be community, like co-travelers on the path. People who are all aiming to find truth in their life, to connect more and more with truth in their life. So that really helps, because we are all indeed walking each other home and no one did it alone. So that's the importance of the Sangha. And because we forget no many times, no matter how many times we remind, we again forget. So if we have a like-minded community, we don't have to stick to the community, like just like scattered all around. If we have people who can again give us some reminder, if I am in confusion, I talk to someone, and again I am back on the track, like I can take the challenge or difficulty in order to make it a stepping stone rather than being too overwhelmed by the difficulty. So that would be the right attitude, the dharma attitude on the path. Or we can also, usually many times we also have friends who would, in their ignorance, who would say that, look, this is happening to you, look, life is so cruel. Happens, we have people of all sorts in our life, but they then are not able to really benefit us, because it, like, our burden is still there. But if we have people around us who, if I have a difficulty, a big problem, or even a small problem that I'm struggling with, and somebody can open me up to the possibility, the higher possibility in that problem, that's the true, the true way ahead. Taking everything as a possibility on the path. So nothing is difficulty. Difficulty is disguised form of possibility. And bodhicitta in Buddhism would be an enlightened heart and mind. A mind, a heart of good heart, illumined mind, wisdom mind, and bodhicitta is like an illumined chitta, an illumined heart mind. That which is open to receive light, that which is not uh, blocking itself from light. Usually we are our own enemies. All of us know that. We block the light many a times in our ignorance. But this would be like, okay, there is something that is showing up, and let me go towards the light. Let me see the light in this situation, because there must be some light. So in every situation, in every person, in every our own inner struggle, one is able to move towards the light, at least, if not see the light instantly, at least aspire to see the light. And since we see that how much we struggle in our ignorance, how much I struggle when I am trapped in my mind full of storylines, so I suffer, and then I can relate with other people suffering, that, oh, now I know how people suffer when they are trapped in their mind. So this is the second line here, the aspiration to attain enlightenment for the sake of all beings. Because if I remain trapped in my own prison of mind and act from that, then not only am I torturing myself, I'm also torturing all around me. So because I see how much torture it causes me and others, I would, no matter how difficult, I would walk the path of enlightenment to know who I truly am and act from that, to unite with my true being. So that would be the bodhicitta, and that's there in all of us. We all want to benefit ourselves and others. We just have to cultivate it. Yeah. Anything here? Anyone? This line is also very, very clear. I think along with providing that clarification, Atisha gave teachings on how to take the vicissitudes of life onto the path. So challenges are not on the path, challenges are the path. They are the path. So it's beautiful if we can really be warrior like and have an adventurous spirit, that okay, this has come, let me see where it wants to take me. And how to approach everything through the lens of cherishing others. So usually we are cherishing our own self, and also my ideas are the right ideas. I am the right one in the house, rest all are at fault, or maybe too narrow minded. I am the one who is open minded. See, we have all these cherishing about ourselves. So here it's like cherishing others, because if you see all the muck also in yourself at the same time, you see that just as light and darkness can exist in me parallelly, they can also exist in others. So others too have imperfections, but they also have a light, a greater light, a good heart, which can be provoked and invoked. So cherishing others, because each one of us, no matter our enemy or a difficult person in our lives, they all have some goodness about them. So to not keep pointing at their faults, but to also look at their possibilities. This is a very good way of working with little children, not only adults, but when little children get too naughty, many a times a child gets a label of being too naughty in the class. And that's where, if a teacher is a true teacher, he would be able to see that there is so much energy in the child, and how to really channel it into a positive direction. So this is cherishing of others, not self-cherishing. It's like mostly self-forgetfulness. Okay, my demands can wait, my needs can go into the corner. Okay, let me see how I can benefit the other. Because there is no end. All of us know that there is no end to our expectations and demands. So not even there is a mood that is rising, which is a bad mood, or you could be actually sad for a longer time. But you just get up on the, from the bed, and you say, okay, enough. Put it on the side and move on, because there is no end to the ups and downs of moods, and also moons. Yeah, anything add? Anyone wants to add on before we move to the next one?
Yeah, small comment, on when you shared that how we do need support, right? Like that recognition that I need support is also, I think, needs a lot of sincerity, right? And honesty, because somewhere in me, something feels that if I say I need help, I don't know, it feels that that means I'm lacking, right? I lack. And the truth is, I lack. It's a fact that I lack, right? And how do I see that I don't lack is kind of there. So even this acceptance that I need help and asking for help is also very courageous, right? Like, a lot of times we wait till the last moment, right? Or like when it's absolutely not possible to do something on your own, or the despair is so much, it's then that I would go and seek help. But what if we don't wait for that long? What if we have that sensitivity that, yes, I know I am struggling here, or I cannot seem to get across this, right? I'm just sitting here for so long, don't know, not knowing where to go. Okay, it's fine, it's fine. We lose a lot, during that time. Too proud, not accepting I'm proud, accepting that it's just way of it, but too proud to ask for help till the situation worsens and worsens. So just this fact that yes, we do need help, otherwise we would not be here, right? For anything, everybody their own personal stories and agenda. So if I have to choose, how again, in the chanting session, when we say that the monkey mind would be chanting something. So why not give it the chant of divine's name, so that at least it's not, bringing more karma into it, more negativity. So just that, that much intelligence, we call ourselves like, educated, intelligent people, to choose the better, to choose which will take me, which has the potential of giving something which is beyond the transitory that I am occupied with all the time. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think along with what you were sharing, that there is I think a conditioning, mental conditioning of superior and inferior when we talk about taking help. And also we see this in little children and parent, because parents are usually not asking for help. So the child thinks that, slowly it's like indirect conditioning that is happening, that see, when I grow up I would also not ask for help, something like that. While if as a parent we are on the same ground as a child, and we keep asking for help, little things, could you help me, could you help me, things like that, then the child also feels that it's okay to first ask for help, and he also likes it. We all like to extend a hand to each other. So yes, plus I think along with that I was able to see that it's a matter of my upbringing or conditioning, that some of us are too used or conditioned, we are too conditioned to give. In that case, if there is an image that is sticking on my mind, then asking can become a problem. Some of us are used to again, keep asking, because somehow the conditioning has been like that. With them, when they are giving, now that is their area of transcending, because it's okay to give, it's okay to ask, both are okay. And yeah, basically not to stick to any any labels. When the giving is required, we give, and when the uh, asking is required, we ask. Yeah, to have that discernment. And also it grounds us. I think both of them have the capacity to ground us, uh, if done with the right attitude. Both giving and asking for help can really be grounding. So Lojong is mind training, as was shared earlier also. And there are many classic Lojong texts in Buddhism. And this one is by Atisha, Lord Atisha, and there are 37 verses. We read a few verses last time. And Lojong is the Tibetan word for mind training. And we see, when we look at our minds, we see how untamed they are, and that is why we have to first tame them, first letting them know that, see, I am here, and if I ask you to stay with breath, let us stay with breath for 2 3 minutes. So it begins to listen to you, like we get a dog, at house. So in the beginning we have to tame it, like the dog is in the beginning not listening to any instruction, no potty training, nothing. And in the beginning we have to first let it to listen to us through love, through coaxing, cajoling, and developing a bond. And then slowly there is a trainer that comes, or you train the dog, so that you, whenever you direct, then he can understand what is being said. So this is not the place to do potty, that is, or I'm talking of the home pets, I'm not talking of wild dogs here. So yeah, so with the mind also, since it is a tool in our hands, mind, feelings, body, these are all tools given to us. And if we can have a sense of stepping back from all of them, we can begin to then have a little bit of control and self mastery, and reject what needs to be rejected, cultivate what needs to be cultivated, like that. So we'll read this one. Anyone who feels ready to read the last paragraph on page 3. So it's a study circle, and feel free to unmute uh, whoever feels like reading.
The Lojong text we are discussing here, the 37 verses on the practice of a Bodhisattva, was written in the 14th century by a monk named Gilse Thogmo Sangpo, who was born in 1296 or 1297 near Sakya in western Tibet. From an early age, he exhibited great qualities of compassion and caring for others, as demonstrated in a story from when he was just a toddler. At that time, children wore fleece-lined chubas, long jackets tied at the waist. One winter, Thogmo went out, and when he came back in, he was naked. His parents said to him, "What have you done with your chuba?" And he said, "Oh, there is a being out there who was cold." He went and looked outside, and there was a bush that was covered in frost. Thogme had put the chuba over it to keep it warm. Thogme Sangpo's biography is full of these charming stories of how, even as he grew older, he went to immense trouble for the sake of others, especially those who were in difficult circumstances, such as beggars, poor people, and so forth. When he was 29, Thogme took full monastic vows. He was an exemplary monk in every way, maintaining his vows with purity until the end of his life. Acutely aware of the suffering of others, including animals, he never wore animal furs or skins, despite the freezing Tibetan climate he lived in. Thogme became quite learned and served as an abbot of several monasteries. He was extremely well known and beloved in his day. He died in his 70s. At that time in Tibet, people didn't live long. So it was a good age by Tibetan standards. He wrote many books, but the one that has become a classic in Tibetan literature is known as Gilse Lalin. Gilse literally means children of the victorious one, meaning bodhisattvas, and Lalin means a way of practicing. It is usually translated as the practices of a bodhisattva in 37 verses.
Thank you. So, a bodhisattva in Buddhist tradition would be a being who is ready to keep himself aside for the benefit of others. And that is what we saw in this example here, that he put off his clothes and feels really weird to the logical mind. Because the logical mind would think that at least first take care of yourself, that I come the first. But here in this case there are remarkable stories of many bodhisattvas who did not care for their own little me, but they really extended out their heart for anybody who they saw in suffering. And they are like, they do not appeal to the logical mind at all. That how can this person do that? Has he lost his mind? Maybe he has realized his mind, that's why. Yeah. Even to that extent that like this practice of tonglen, where we invite the suffering of others, like we inhale it in ourselves. So I read it somewhere that it has to be done to that extent. Many beings did it to that extent that when you are inhaling the suffering of others, we are waiting for signs and symptoms to appear, like maybe blisters on the skin or something like that, that okay, now the suffering is there in me. So to that extent this can go when one is ready, and one is delighted about that. See, at least I can be of some benefit. And in other texts I have read that uh, it's like a verse, like a poem, where they say that, come, eat me, all you ghosts and haunted beings who are just waiting for some blood, have my blood. So to that extent this generosity can go, which our mind usually cannot understand. Yeah. So it's pretty inspirational. Yes, Swapna.
Um, hi. There's something that I wondered if we could address or touch on. There's also passages, I don't know if it's in letters or where Mother speaks about when one does altruistic work or something for others, to beware of like the ego coming in, that the reason it's being done is not necessarily that one is really truly doing the yoga, but it's actually just somehow pampering to feeling good. Now I'm doing something for some, it's actually an ego motive. And I sometimes struggle with that aspect. And in Buddhism, this, what appears to me in my very limited knowledge, this great emphasis on serving the other, you know, and yeah, I guess
Yeah,
somehow I have this sense of, well, in the yoga, it's first about, well, sort, you know, my parts of my being and see if I can master my vital or tell my even parts apart. And before I launch into even pretending that I'm really helping someone else, you know? So yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, totally, totally with you. I think it's mostly, I feel that it's like an image that we are stuck in, nothing more than that. Because if we look at the real stories in Buddhism of teachers and masters, you will see that first they have given them ample amount of time for their own sadhana, like 10, 12 years, 3 years, dark retreats, like big time for their own realization. So we cannot say that one just jumps into this serving others. No, I think it's just an image that we have. So we easily can see, even with her own story, Jetsunma Tenzin Palmo, we see that in the beginning, she could not hear anything else but this call of the being that I have to go, I have to go, I have to go, I have to go and be in a cave. So there she is not, of course, bothering about being selfless, or there you have to follow that call. But when you have stabilized your call enough and given and nurtured that call enough, then automatically as a byproduct, you can't help but share it with others, or share the benefit with others. So given a choice, she has herself shared that given a choice, of course she would prefer seclusion, but that she now keeps on taking from time to time, like, okay, but because she realizes that there is also an importance for her to reach out for, and that's not, it's like, see, I am reaching out, it's like I see her very reluctantly reaching out, in the sense that she would not like to speak much, because she says that I'm just repeating myself all the time. But she also sees the importance of repeating herself, because we need the guidance. So I feel, and in the meantime, she says that in the meantime, when we are on road to the path of realizing our true self, in the meantime, just have a kind heart. Now, I don't think it's too much to ask. Just have a good heart. Mother has never said have a bad heart. Mother has always said keep your ill will in check. Now, what is that? Mother has said, first step of integral yoga, find your psychic being. What is psychic being? The bodhicitta. Good heart. A heart which is devoted to the divine and doesn't want to torture anyone for anything. That's psychic being, our true individuality. So I feel no contradiction actually here. And in the terms of charity and the ego that it comes in between, of course, we have a compilation of Mother on charity, and that mostly is referring to the outward material charity that we do, like offering food to people, and like money to many organizations, and that which the ego can call as good work. See, I did that. And again, on that path, Mother again and again warns about vanity, pride, and self-satisfaction. So Mother does not say that it's, you don't do that, but of course the focus is on the inward sadhana. But all these outer experiences, they are the ones they are telling me that, oh, see, I am giving, but I can see the ego, it is still there. So Mother tells us to be conscious of the ego consciousness. When it arises, be conscious of that ripple. She is not sharing that, seclude yourself from everyone and just be focused in your life, and exclude the good of everyone around you. Never. I have never read anything. But of course, too much focus on giving, charity, etc., etc., that can make the ego a bit, too higher, of course, and we have to be careful of that. But the divine is so gracious that even those aspects, I know of a few people who are really, building new things, and maybe outwardly doing a lot good work, but there is an arrogance there, That see, I am doing. Now it is their inner work that they have to do, that of course, they have to see the ego, that it's still there. But the divine makes use of even such instruments, that he's able to build so much. The ego mixture may be there, but the amount of work he is able to do, even with the ego mixture, having maybe a tinge of pure surrender, but lots of ego mixture, that also divine makes use of. So I think we should not stop ourselves from doing any kind of act of kindness or compassion or little service, whatever we can offer. We should try to be sensitive, I feel. Just like I mean, giving money on the red lights also in India. Many people say, this would become a profession, so I don't want to provoke it. And the money that you have hidden in your banks, like accumulated so much of money in the banks, thinking that it is your money and it belongs to you. Mother also talks about that it's not our money, we are trustees of that money. So if there is a person who is standing at the red light and he's not had a meal, I don't want to go into the detail of where he has come from and what task he can still do with his fit body. I would just give him some bit so that he can have his meal. I mean, won't we all feel nice to have a good meal? Very simple. I think we ourselves make it too complicated, thinking that that person doesn't deserve this money because I will maybe provoking a bad profession, that he will become habituated to it. Haven't I become habituated to collecting money? I have too. That I don't see. That I say that it will come, good for my children, when in coming years I can sell this gold and all that. We all do that. That we don't look at that I have made it a profession. And mother also shares that money is not bound. It's money. It's a perversion of money. When we use money to generate money, it's a wrong use of money. Like how we do nowadays, middle class, upper middle class, you one flat you sell, you buy three more, invest in three more. So why? So that we can invest and have good money. For what? For what? So this is a perversion of money. That's why money is, it's like unequal distribution of money. There are some people who don't have anything to eat, and there are some people who are wasting food. It's going in the bucket, compost bucket. So this is all, it's like money is not in the right hands. I just went to money, money, but yeah, what I wanted to share is that it's not, uh, we don't have to avoid our kind heart. That's what I wanted to share. Whatever little kindness, act of, compassion we can do, genuinely, if we really truly, feel that, okay, we must open our hearts, I feel.
Yeah, and initially, by just doing certain more things that don't even hurt us, they don't even take anything from us, like you were sharing. This compassion again is a very extensive topic, and yet keeping the focus as you only, but yet, like you said, just having a kind heart. And just, and in the beginning, of course, like everything else, it's very conscious that yes, there's something in me which doesn't want to give, but I must give for the reason that I'm feeling I shouldn't give. Like just sharing an example, like I had recently moved homes, and there was, I could leave certain things. My home got rented, my apartment, and I could leave certain things. I had to take something with me, keep the things I don't know, need and stuff. So there was a particular lamp that I really liked. And there's no wear and tear in lamps, right? It's just there. I wanted to, I said nothing else. If I keep, I just want to keep this lamp so that when I come back, I have that lamp. And I said, I left that lamp right there, saying that now that I know that I'm kind of grasping towards it, let others also see how beautiful the light of that lamp is. Just an example. it didn't hurt me to leave it there. I can always go back to it. And yet, doing that consciously, I would just say, opened something in me, and it showed me how small things that I'm attached to, not realizing I am attached to, I can now let go. I can say, okay, no, take, it's not in any arrogance, not in any, oh, see, I am letting go of that, just because it's my efforts are getting wasted attaching to those things. So once when I learn to just open my hand, one feels how good that open hand feels just because it's not clutching. This is again thank you to me from me, that किसी को हम क्या देंगे, right? What can we give? What do I have that I can give to the other? But at least by doing this, I feel I'm kinder and compassionate towards myself. So, from the sunlit path, they were just, when you were sharing, there's a line which is very beautiful. It says that you must be good for the love of goodness. You must be just for the love of justice. You must be pure for the love of purity. And you must be disinterested for the love of disinterestedness. Then you are sure to advance on the way. Like, how can it be more simple, and yet where all we divert, naman to us. But yes, there is, yeah.
I think this is the heroism that is expected of us. It doesn't appear like heroism, and one can say, oh, it's nothing actually. But these little moments where I could have grasped, but I stepped back from grasping. I think we see that in ourselves, the inner work. So that's beautiful. Yeah. I think Jetsunma also at one point of time shares the example of a piece of chocolate. So for those of us who like chocolate and there is last piece of chocolate left, rather than just putting it into the mouth, no one is looking and let me just finish it off. To actually offer it, knowing that, see, I am grasping, looking at it that yes, I want to just gulp it down, offering it to people who may appreciate it. And she also shares the example of a couple of teachers. They whenever something new would be given to them, a shawl or some blanket or something, they would look at it and appreciate it very much, and the next thought is, who can I give it to? Since it is so beautiful, let me share it with someone. So I think and we have lived a life, all of us who are here, I think we have lived a life that we have consumed enough. So we have a taste of consumption also. It's not that we don't know that taste, but to have this new taste of what you were sharing, this open hands, it's quite something. Good experiment. Also about books, I think. So many a times I've seen that we keep the special ones that we have very down in the corner, that maybe not everyone could see it. Rather than to have an open heart in there also, that, oh, since I found it so beautiful and it's so close to my heart, let me offer it to someone else also. Whether the person gives it back or not, that's another matter, but just offering that, sharing that joy. Yeah. Anyone wants to add on anything here? So Jetsunma has a nunnery, and that's in Himachal. So she talks about that nunnery here. Our nuns at Dongyu Gatsal Ling Nunnery. Yeah, so who would like to read ahead? I think maybe people have not eaten today. Shreya
I
Shreya
can
has
read.
eaten. Okay.
nuns at Dongyu Gatsal Ling Nunnery study this text because it is accessible to anyone, monks, nuns, and lay people, whether Buddhist or non-Buddhist. And because it deals, as all Lojong texts do, with how to bring the difficult circumstances in our life, our own mental defilements that give us so much trouble, and the problems caused by others onto the path. It is a practical text because it teaches us how to make use of those difficulties by transforming them and taking them on the path. At first, it might not sound practical for us, but actually, it is highly practical because it deals with how to take adverse circumstances and use them as our practice. This is important for everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Shreya. So I think this comes again and again with whenever we hear Jetsunma talk about things, that it's just a matter of living life a little more skillfully. Very, very practical approach, that since I'm seeing that being focused on the limited me makes me suffer, can I see a different direction? And all of us see that, and also knowing that having an untamed mind brings so much of misery. So can I have a little bit of time given to the taming and training of the mind? So it's very skillful approach. She uses this word, that's skillful. And I think we all can do that. We all have that intelligence that if something is not now benefiting us, skillfully letting it go and moving on to something which benefits us. Shreya, you wanted to share something?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds very difficult, right? To how to taking adverse circumstances and using them. So we are being asked to not ignore the adverse circumstances. Like I have a tendency to ignore, brush away, and one fine day I'll just feel overwhelmed. And I mean, the past year has been very difficult, and there have been lots of challenges. It almost feels like the more I keep on focusing on these challenges, the more they are sort of propagating. I mean, it's like an endless list of issues. And somebody was asking me, need to start focusing on the good in your life. Just let the bad be. So I'm just wondering how do these two come together then? Not focusing on the negative and focusing on the good versus using the bad or adverse circumstances and yeah, using them to become a better person. I think I'm
Yeah, yeah.
feeling a little.
So I think here what I am getting at it is that how to use the challenges as a way of progress, as a way on the path. For example, if I am in a difficult relationship, there are a few ways that I can go. One is that I don't inwardly see that, why I get triggered again and again, why I think this way, because we are too rigidly attached to our own thoughts. We don't know that, we don't get to know that, we are too blinded. So we can't see that all the thoughts regarding the other person that we have in our mind, we take them to be absolutely true. So I have an image of this relationship and I'm also having an image of this person. Now it's not the very person that is giving me problem. It's all the demands and expectations that I had and also the images that I have. So the person also keeps repeating himself in the same way because I am actually provoking that image. I have the image in the mind. Now the person is in front, but since I have the image that he will behave in this way, so he keeps on like a tape, repeating in this way. We don't realize this, that we are actually causing him to behave in the same manner again and again. We don't realize this. So how it would be that I would take the difficulty. Now this is a difficult situation on the path. One is that I outwardly make a shift, since I see that this is not benefiting me or the both of us, make an outward shift. So maybe to grow apart and change the relationship. That is almost called, mostly in most cases, a way of escape. Because what happens is that the next person that we get is of the same manner, and then the next, and then the next. So if we don't confront the situation fully, see that what in me is causing the outer situation, then the situation keeps on repeating until it has given us the lesson or the learning, or it has shown me my weakness. Now, on the other way, if I am a bodhisattva or a budding bodhisattva, I want to take it in a highest possibility. What would I do? I would say, see, I see a lot of problem here, but let me see where is the problem, what is the root of the problem. And most often than not, if you are really, really honest with yourself, you would see that virtually most of the problem is arising from this mind. How I think about that situation, how I feel about the situation, and how I take it to be absolutely true. I stick to my thoughts about the situation. This is what it should be like. And when it is not like this, something is bad. So we don't see our stickiness. So this situation, which is giving me so much of turmoil, can actually be a revelatory thing, that it takes me to my stickiness. Oh, now I know I'm so sticky. Now I know. It's only the stickiness that is causing the problem. Stickiness to my opinions, my thoughts, the way I think is right. My way of life must be followed. So my. So the any problem like this, where you are nailed to that situation, you can't move and you have to face, I think it can be a very, very beautiful passage or a tunnel to the root of the problem, which is this, as Jetsunma shares, self-cherishing me. मेरे हिसाब से क्यों नहीं हो रहा? So in that sense, if I look at a challenge, that okay, let me see where is the root, going to the absolute root of it, then most of the time we can locate it in our own selves. It is not necessary that we would not never ever take a outward action also. It's like in parallel. A genuine outward action also gets taken when we begin to be more intimate and close to ourselves, that enough of torture to everyone in the relationship. So a genuine action will also get taken. And along with that, this also relates with what you were sharing, that focus on the good. Now, what is the good here? Let me share my reflection on this, which is, I have a physical body. No matter how many relative problems I may have physically, I'm still right now able to function well, take care of myself. I can, if I want a cup of tea, I can get and make a cup of tea. I'm not tied to the bed. So as Mahatma Gandhi shares, that when you are in a problem, look at the worst possible situation, that okay, where can one be? So in that aspect, you would see that really we have too much, which goes bonkers when we focus on things that are lacking in my life. That which I desired, I did not get, and hence I just exclude all that is given to us. Breath. How we feel so saddened when somebody dies. I am alive. I am breathing. Now, isn't that a gift? How happy are we when a newborn is taking his first breaths? How happy. And now that breath doesn't matter anymore. In front of all that I did not get. Breath doesn't matter. So that is our situation. And of course, the logical mind can say, oh, but everyone is breathing, what's the big deal about it? So stop breathing, have fun. And this is the very breath which we crave for when people, who have breathing problems, one breath, ask them how it feels when they are not able to get that one breath. You just want oxygen, then nothing else. Then we know the value of breath. But very soon that the time passes, corona time passes, or the lockdown passes, then we have forgotten all of that. So such is our dog's tailed nature. We forget our lessons. That's why the life happenings have to happen in such a way that we remind ourselves. And Thich Nhat Hanh's whole teaching is about mindfulness of breathing. Precious breath. This is my instrument given to me in this life, human body, mind, and feelings. Can't I make a good use of it? I am not in the hospital, I am alive. Even if relatively I have issues with my body, I can still sit and concentrate. Ask the people who are on, really, they're almost deathbeds, really with very frail bodies. I have known many. And if you ask them to tame their mind or maybe, meditate for 2 minutes, they can't because the body is paining heavily. And then I ask, what do I have to be grateful for? The same baby that I really cherished, the same person that I cherished a few months ago, a few years ago, that very person is very alive and in my home. But look at the ill will with which I look at that person. Isn't that sad? It's sad. Always wanting about me, 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 me. So this is the Bodhisattva, that one just gets tired, one sees the suffering that, oh my God, what kind of suffering it creates. Obsessive focus on me, me, me. So let me be a drop of poison less and forget as many times as it is needed, forget about my unfulfilled wishes and desires. So the heart of compassion, the heart, good heart. Because there is no end to those bonds that we have. There is no end. Each one of us is stuck at one or a couple of points in our life. And we can either continue wanting, or we can drop the wanting whenever it arises. That's the right choice. Ego has the capacity to eat us up. It doesn't care for our body, health, nothing. It just eats us up. So bad it can go that it will say, since I am not getting that attention, let me fall ill. Then that person will give me attention. That to that extent it can go. Mother talks about this. Mr. Vital. The only thing that we have to start with is knowing that this is not my own story. This is how infinite number of us live. So my pain, living in my ego consciousness, connects me with the pain of billions of others who also suffer when they are living in ego consciousness. Living in ego consciousness is not a happy state for anyone. Ego is ego. It's a prison. So then you extend your heart, that, okay, let me be a bodhisattva. Not, you don't declare it, but inwardly, you have that aspiration that let me become a drop of poison less. How much suffering it creates, really. So in that sense, taking the challenges on the path. So in that, I am not wanting anything from the challenge in front, because the challenge was created because I was wanting so many things. So that I realize. So what do I say? I say that, okay, this situation is very tricky, very difficult, but I see that if I let go of my stickiness to wants and desires, then it won't be a very bad situation. And parallelly, mother shares about this, we have talked about this a lot, parallelly nurturing ourselves. Very, very important, but because what can an empty cup give anyone? So nurturing your life, and just like you cherish other people, now we try to at least cultivate this, cherishing other people. I also cherish, I start with my own self. So in Buddhism, the first step, for many practitioners, is loving kindness towards one's own self. Extending a loving heart towards my own self, because I see that I need it very badly. What torture I have given myself in wanting to follow the dictates of the ego. So you first, this is shared by many teachers, first you extend this loving kindness that now you want to extend to all the other beings, to firstly your own self. Oh, how much I have suffered living the dictates of ego consciousness. Let me give some love to myself. Now I won't torture myself. So you fulfill your own cup first, then it is possible to extend, because you see that just as I suffer, others too suffer. Not a very nice state. Spoken too much, but yeah, Shreya, makes sense.
Yes.
Hmm.
Thank you, Manu.
Thank you. Yeah, anything anyone wants to? Yes, Sulakshana ji.
Very beautiful. I just wanted to say very beautifully explained, Monica. Thank you. The last 15 minutes was really beautiful. I mean, not to say that the rest was not, but this was as if it was so simply from the heart. And I think it must have touched everybody's heart. It definitely touched mine.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. And thanks for clarifying that not only the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
ये वही बात हो गई, when we go to dinner, somebody has arranged a nice dinner or lunch for us, and we say that this dish is very special. Also, rest of the
Yes.
food too. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. Anything else? Anyone before we end for today? So, this is the courage. That's why we see at all places, I think this is a similarity, that Kabir would say Surma, or a warrior. It's very hard, challenging, when we are stepping back from this want and looking at, oh my God, what a kind of a beggar life I have been living so far. It's very hard for the hard for the heart. So Kabir says that it's warrior spirit that you need when you're stepping back from the ego consciousness. Sri Aurobindo says it's the Aryan spirit that we need. Every moment making the right choice, stepping back from the ego. And in Buddhism, we say the heroic heart, the heart of a Bodhisattva. So nothing less is expected of us. It is challenging, but we are all heroic hearts. That's why the challenge is given to us. And that's the fun. It may be a painful fun at times, but I think it's lots of adventure when we take it in this way. Okay, let me soften my heart down and really open up my heart and not want like all the people are wanting. Really adventurous. Okay, so I think we stop here, maybe not take it further. So this paragraph, Dongi, DGL Neneri, and we'll start page 4. Maybe we'll take up next time from this. And yeah, there is still a bit of introduction left, which is okay. We can go very slow. So just taking last moment to share the merit with everyone. And may all of us have peace at heart, a simple mind, an uncomplicated mind, and a good heart. And may all of us benefit from each other. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.